Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Freedom of the Press with John Mousseau. Today I will be speaking briefly on my thoughts of the election to commemorate Trump's 100 days. Now, I speak on this topic in order to better support future arguments and be able to reference people to an original source material, kind of catalog my initial thoughts, even though it's been a while. During the election, and very early on, I believed Donald J. Trump would, at the very least, be a key contender for the race. In 2015, when the Republican primaries were just getting started, I thought of pretty much every Republican candidate on the stage as either too soft-spoken or just too bland to fully galvanize the American public. People might, in hindsight, regard that as somehow a benefit or a boon to their performance, but way back then, people were too busy laughing at Trump, laughing about him, laughing with him. What I noticed very early on, watching YouTube videos of his early speeches, were feelings of awe among unexpected sources. People thought, wow, he's actually making some sense. I regarded this realization, this revelation among his early supporters, as somewhat of a product of many Republican and right-leaning media sources that had grown, succeeded, and really prospered through the criticisms of President Obama's administration over the past 8 years. Fox News especially. I watched Fox News extensively during Obama's terms to see what they were criticizing him for. And heck, they would fabricate or hyperbolize many things, but they were making at times valid points, and more importantly, they were imparting a perspective, a worldview that people could adhere to. It made sense to them. I'm never going to make the mistake of demeaning people with whom I politically disagree. They have just as much a right to express their opinions. They have just as much a right to vote. I think it's folly to criticize them for, or even claim that they shouldn't have those rights. I thought Trump would win because he was tapping into a nerve, a feeling of intense resentment and betrayal perpetrated by the Democratic Party and President Obama. Events like Benghazi, the Affordable Care Act, the withdrawal from Iraq that allowed the rise of ISIS, the list could go on. It left people very angry and resentful of politics, of politicians. Trump mirrored this resentment, this unbridled, pathological response. In that respect, I thought he was extremely dangerous. I thought he could sufficiently capture that pathological urge, and I would say, in hindsight, he very successfully did. He's now president. That's a testament to it. As an aside, my reasoning for opposing his candidacy was, dare I say, somewhat unique. I was actually very adamantly for Hillary Clinton. I did not object to her in the ways that people did as a corrupt politician, as a liar, as a schemer, as a criminal, that sort of thing. People saw it as necessary evils, as something that we could stomach at the very least. I saw it a bit differently. I saw it as her ability to perpetrate horrid things and still manage to somehow get off scot-free meant that she was uniquely qualified for the position of presidency purely because America, internationally, does horrible, questionable, deceitful things and gets off scot-free. In instances like that, where we try to depose a democratically elected leader or invade a sovereign nation, we really require the sly smile of crooked politicians in order to just kind of slime our way through to the top. It's a very pessimistic thing. I would argue that it's actually downright evil of me to be claiming it. I still thought that in many ways, the way that people constantly criticized her, the way that people were suddenly aware of the wrongs of the American foreign policy, in a way that really hasn't been sufficiently represented in previous presidential campaigns, perhaps maybe the Vietnam War, but in the aftermath of Iraq and amidst the Syrian civil war and ISIS, it's very difficult for many people to sympathize with the American cause abroad. Many people didn't. Regardless, I supported her throughout. I advocated for her as that deceitful figure who might lead our foreign policy in such a manner that it would go to benefit our country as a whole. She would be blocked in domestic affairs by a Republican Congress that would not allow her to pass any domestic policies. Really, she would just be a stand-in for 4 years. An instantaneous lame duck. Really, we'll never know. It's a hypothetical. In some respects, kind of glad it didn't happen. It would have been a whole different monstrosity that people would be dealing with. In that respect, and because I love this country oh so very much, I went to the inauguration of President Trump. I had a wonderful time. I respect the transfer of power. I might have been rather disappointed that the first time I ever voted in an election, my gal didn't quite make it. But that's okay. The point of democracy is you win some, you lose some. That's okay. And frankly, now that President Trump is in office, some people have started to shy away from some of his policies, his behaviors. Others have actually found it appealing. We wouldn't have known what he could do or what he would do until he was given the position. What this election grants us is a unique insight into this type of politician. And I do say politician, he's no longer a businessman, he is a politician. I'm rambling. I'll end with this. His recent performance has been a testament to the institutions of government. Things that I warned people about throughout the campaign. There are checks on the power of the presidency, either through the judiciary or through the legislature. They are not our kings. They can't do anything they want. And frankly, my interpretation of the issue is, I think people's hatred of President Trump is exaggerated and hyperbolic. I think we need to settle down a bit and fully analyze and fully comprehend what we are facing and how we can take advantage of the situation. That goes for both Democrats and Republicans. There's an immense potential to call him a common enemy and actually unite in that respect. He does not have a sufficient base to counter the rest of America. I don't know what will come of these next 4 years. I worry all the time. But a few things. We need to respect that he's a legitimate president. We need to comprehend that there are limits to his power. And we need to allow time to look at ourselves, introspect, and realize our own faults and contributions in the circumstance we now find ourselves. Both Democrat and Republican. Being right transcends party. With that, I've decided how I'm going to be ending these podcasts. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Have a wonderful time, ladies and gentlemen. This has been John Mousseau with Freedom of the Press.